Stitch People. Welcome to the Stitch People podcast. I'm Lizzie Bean, your host and the founder of Stitch People, where our goal with cross-stitching is to inspire your personal creativity, and our goal with podcasting is to help you make some new friends while you're at it. Before I get into introducing this week's guest, I just want to remind you that you've only got a few more days to use our subscription discount code. We released this month a few subscriptions. We've got 3 you can choose from, and they're just different styles of patterns you can sign up for as a subscription, just like a magazine, where you'll get a new pattern every month of that style of subscription. We've got cat patterns, literary patterns, and snarky sayings. So if you use the discount code SAVE15, that's SAVE15, all one word, SAVE, the number 1, the number 5. Use that discount code at checkout. You'll get 15% off any subscription you sign up for by the end of the month this month. So don't forget to use that before it's too late. Without further ado, I want to introduce Parrish. That is today's guest, and she is so much fun. I had such a great time chatting with her, and I think you're going to love getting to know her. She has spent time all over the country, it seems. She has a bunch of crafting skills in her back pocket, and she's absolutely delightful. We talk movies and TV, we talk kids and homeschooling, we talk living in Hawaii. It is a fun conversation. So, cozy up with something delicious to snack on or a project to stitch, and get to know Parrish with me in this week's episode of the Stitch People podcast. Hello, Parrish. Welcome to the Stitch People podcast. Thank you so much for signing up and being willing to chat.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So you mentioned before we got started that a lot has happened for you since you scheduled the podcast. We announced it back on Stitch People back in September. Yeah. And now we are here at the start of the new year. So tell us a little bit about you and what the last few months have looked like.
Yeah, so when I scheduled it, my husband worked like weeknights. So I was like, oh, it's his day off. And I was pregnant. And now he has since moved to another state and started a new job. And I've had her, and she's 7 weeks.
Oh my
she's
God.
like 7 weeks now. So lots of crazy, but it allows me to add to my Stitch story, which is really cool.
That's perfect. Tell us more. Tell us your Stitch story.
So that's what got me
segue
into Stitch People is I saw it on Instagram and I was like, I want to stitch all of our milestones. And I have 8 pieces so far, starting the 9th. So she'll be number 9. I've done both my daughters, our pets, our like cross-country moves and wedding.
I love it. So your Stitch story is your story that you've stitched. Yeah. And do you have that on a wall?
I did, but we're packing.
Packing to move. So where are you located right now and where are you heading?
We're in Austin, Texas and heading to Reno, Nevada.
Excellent. Yeah. Okay. And that's for a job move, you said?
Yeah, job and family. Okay. So
fun. Oh, good. So do you have family out in Reno?
Yeah, my husband has like an uncle and cousins and stuff. So
my
kids will have their cousins and it's a lot. It'll be a lot of fun.
Perfect. Yeah. And tell us about your little helper there.
Yeah, this is Arwen. She's my third daughter.
Oh.
And she's
third daughter.
Pretty much the easiest one so far.
Well, that's a plus.
Yeah.
What number is she?
3.
3?
Yeah.
Okay, so she's the third. Well, that's nice. I was talking with some friends recently, and I was like, is it harder to add a second or a third? And a couple of them were like, honestly, it was the first that was the hardest. I said that it just depends on the personalities, I guess. So nice that you've got a relatively easy number 3. Yeah. Especially when things are so nuts right now.
First was definitely the easiest.
Oh, that's great. Well, hello, Arwen. Nice to see you in your pink little outfit. You're so cute.
Yeah. I know.
She unsurprisingly does not have a lot to say right now.
No, not too much. She just gurgles.
Not yet. Oh. And how are the other kids? Are they happy to have a new sister?
They love her. They're so excited. They're 6 and 4, so they're like they're really into it this time. And my 6-year-old like wants to hold her all the time and is like just pretty much made her baby.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Well, tell us more about your stitching. So you got into Stitch People to stitch your milestones, which I think is so cool. That's such a fun idea.
Yeah.
Have you been cross-stitching before that? Or is Stitch People kind of what got you into cross-stitch? Tell us about it.
I had done some, like, a little bit of cross-stitching, like, through the years. I have tried it and, like, dabbled in it. I did some, like, hand embroidery and stuff like that. I've done a lot of crafting. I've always kind of fall back towards the fiber arts. I love crochet is, like, my go-to.
Nice.
So it's kind of I was always trying to find like my favorite one, but I realized I just can't pick a favorite. I just can't.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Yeah. So crochet and cross stitch seem to be the two that I've landed on the most and invested my most like time and energy and stuff into.
Cool.
So yeah, a little bit, but not like too much. But I knew enough of other stuff that like I didn't even really read the book like I should have. I just jumped right in. I was like, I'm just going to do this. I already have it all planned out in my head. I just need to know a little bit more.
I love that. I'm wired very much the same way. And there's been a lot with Stitch People where people will ask for certain patterns or ask for help on certain things that I'm like, well, you just do it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm not quite sure how to make a pattern for that. You just do it.
Yeah.
And so, I think there's definitely different types of thinkers and learners. And there are those of us who just go, "Ooh, fun idea," and jump right in.
Yeah, I don't even think I could like show someone how to like thread a needle. Like I just don't remember learning that. I'm like, I've always just known how to do it.
You just have to get this through there.
Yeah, it's just something I've always done and been able to do.
I love that.
But yeah, fiber arts is definitely my like go-to for sure. And so
Wonderful.
everyone got Stitch People for Christmas this year. So
Yay! How'd it go over? How did everybody like it?
Everyone loved it.
Did we get tears?
I didn't see any in person, but so maybe, maybe my mom and her husband, they probably were like the closest because having like a blended family, not everyone's been able to get together for a family picture.
Yeah.
And my mom's a photographer. So not having all of her kids together has been like hard. So to get like a big Stitch piece with everyone together, that
makes a lot of sense. I love that about Stitch Peoples because you can include people who have passed on or people who can't be there or, like you said, blended family. It's really hard to get everybody in the same place all at once. Yeah. So that's awesome. I love it. So you're the kind of person who just jumps in, which I love. Yeah. So with that said, have you sort of taught yourself all of your crafting skills, or was there sort of an entry point like in childhood where a mom or a grandma or an aunt or did somebody teach you how to do this stuff? How did it get on your radar?
I've mostly taught myself everything. So my mom does know how to knit and crochet, but she didn't learn until I had like moved out of the house.
Okay.
And then
I love learn new things.
My great grandmother knit and crocheted, and my grandmother sews, and yet it just never worked out to have anyone kind of show me. So I definitely YouTube videos for sure. Love it. I feel like a lot of it just did come very naturally. It just kind of like clicked and made sense. So
I love that. Well, and also just sort of having it on the radar, I think is helpful.
Definitely.
Especially as kids. Yeah. You like absorb things that you don't even realize just by watching and hearing about things and getting curious. So that's really, really cool. I love that. So you've got your hands full. You're a crafter. You've got 3 kiddos. Are you stay-at-home mom? Do you have a job on top of everything else? Tell us a little bit more.
Stay-at-home mom mostly. I do have a little Etsy shop with crochet stuff.
Nice.
But it's not. It's very little. I pay for my own hobby. That's pretty much.
That's perfect.
My goal is to pay for my own hobby. So yeah, mostly a mom. I homeschool my big kiddos. Oh, nice. So that's
Has that been something you've always done, or is that something you picked up with pandemic times when
it was always
things shifted?
It was always the plan, actually, was to homeschool.
Okay, awesome.
We're doing it differently than I planned. I thought there'd be a lot more like group activities with other homeschool families, and that kind of adjusted. So we've changed that a little bit. But yeah, pretty much it was always our plan. We may change it up because it's more challenging than I want some days. So we may like do a different plan, but yeah, I love doing it, and it's definitely been fun to be like so much a part of their lives, so, like every second of it, and know everything that's going on and stuff like that.
That's great. I love that. So I'm assuming that's something you'll continue on when you move as well, just maybe kind of plug into a different community there maybe.
Yeah. It definitely makes the move easier because it's like we can move whenever the house sells and don't have to worry about like a school situation and stuff like that.
Totally.
So that's been nice not having to like stress about all that.
I imagine it opens up living options too, because I know like we moved a couple times when I was a kid, and it like the school system, was always a huge part of the consideration of like where to buy a house and like what town to be in or whatever. So that probably frees you up to have it's more options that way.
It does. Our current house is not in the best school district, and it was okay to buy because we knew that wasn't our plan. It definitely does open up a lot. It gives you a lot of freedom, vacation freedom.
Yeah, I love that.
Like being able to go see other family or take like longer trips. Like we do a Thanksgiving trip every year. And it's nice to like not have to, in the future, not have to necessarily worry about them missing school or whatever.
Sure. And I always think too, Spencer and I have talked about it, like how cool it would be to be able to take learning with you, that you can take trips for kind of for school purposes, but you get to decide where you're going or why, go visit historical sites or go to national parks. And instead of it having to be like a break and you're out of school and so you just want to veg around and have a vacation, it can be like part of learning.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely
a neat option.
I mean, we definitely do
probably especially as they get older.
Yeah. So like we definitely do just go and have a lot of fun. But we definitely try to make learning like a constant activity rather than just like only set hours. So it's like my 6-year-old is challenging. She likes to pick and choose when she learns. So we try to like fit it in when she's like in the mood and wants to, and she'll ask us a lot of questions. And I'm like, okay, here's your workbook pages. Then that goes the subject. She's kind of, that is a new way of thinking. It's like, we just constantly like, we're learning every hour we're awake. We're probably learning something. And so, we'll go out of town and we can like learn about new animals, because that's her big thing is animals.
Oh, awesome.
So anytime we can like see animals or go to a zoo or anything like that, she is super happy. And so we just kind of go with it.
I love that. Hey, there's a lot to learn with animals and biology and science and all sorts of real life skills of upkeep and, whether it's farm animals or zoo animals or aquariums and all that. That's a really great environment for learning. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. That's a lot of work. Very fun. I'm sure you feel like you're pulled in 100 different directions all day, every day. How do you do it?
I've gotten pretty lucky with some good personalities to deal with. I'm very time management, organized kind of person, but I do make sure I take my time to like craft, because it's like what keeps me sane. I love being able to make things and like take that time is definitely my like me thing. I may have a baby like sleeping on me while I do it, but I've definitely actually all my little ones, I've like crocheted over them as they're like sleeping and nursing and stuff like that. So definitely
that's good.
But I find my time because I know it like keeps me like mentally sane.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So you said you're very organized with your time. What's your system? Do you have any tips? For those of us who aren't.
I don't know. It's something I've always kind of been, and I was one of those things. I know as parents, we say a lot of things we're not going to do with kids, and then we definitely throw that all out the window. And that was my one thing. I was like, I will never be late to anything. I will make sure things get done when I want them done. And then, who cares about screen time and all the other things? I'll give up all those. I'll change my opinion on all those little things. But time was something I was like, I'm going to stick with. It was just a goal that I had to have. And I know my schedule as a person. I'm a 10 to 2 person. I get everything done, like more than the average person between 10 and 2. But outside those hours, I really don't want to do anything but like stitch stuff or crochet or lounge around and watch TV.
I feel great about that. I've read things where people will do like studies, workplace, whatever. And I feel like I've read that despite the fact that, your traditional workday is like 9 to 5, that when you add up the actual productive time where like work is happening, that it really only comes out to like 4, max 5 hours of those 8 hours. And so I kind of like that idea that like, if that's what it's going to be anyway, you might as well just hunker down and bust out your 4 hours of work and then it's over.
Yeah.
And then you get the whole rest of the day. That sounds great.
Yeah. I definitely lay in bed until like 8:30 every morning. Like I don't rush to get out of bed. I'm back in bed by 8:30 when the kids go to bed. And so I have that like 12 hours where I just don't do anything and attempt to sleep, because this one is, but then, and then I try to be really productive the hours that I know that I'll mentally be productive. And I just try to fit as much into that
really great
as I can do.
I love that. And I love that you figured out sort of what your rhythm is and what works for you. And it seems like you don't really fight it all that much, that you're like, no, this is what works for me. I like this. I do that. I think there's a lot of people who struggle with the idea that, there's ways things should be done, oh no, I should get out of bed at 6:30 every day, or I should work all day, 9 to 5, or I should And I'm really liking it. Seems like these days you're reading more and more that like, no, everybody's body's wired differently. Some people really are night owls. Some people really are early birds. Like some people need 6.5 hours of sleep. Some people need 9.5 hours of sleep. That it's like, you got to figure out what works for you, what your body's needs are, and like lean in. So I love that you've kind of embraced that.
Yeah.
That's really admirable.
Took some time to figure it out.
Yeah.
But then, once I gave into it, things got a lot easier.
That's nice. And your kids, it seems like, are on a similar enough schedule.
I mean, my oldest is now starting to she's never needed as much sleep as the average person. But she's getting very independent where she can go fix herself breakfast in the morning so that I can still lay in bed.
Nice.
And stuff like that.
Well, and I'm sure that makes her feel very cool.
Oh, yeah.
I remember, I have very vivid memories being a kid and just that, lust for independence when you're a kid where you're like, I've got it, or you can do it yourself. It just feels very, very cool.
Oh, yeah. Getting to use the toaster has been such a big deal to her.
Oh, I love it. Yes.
She's like, I can make my own waffles. I put it in the toaster. Yeah, and I'm like, okay, that's great. Thanks. Leave me alone.
We're being trusted to get the gallon of milk out yourself because you've done it enough times in front of mom that she knows you're unlikely to spill it as much, so I remember that, doing my own cereal was like, I've got this. For some reason, I just have these core memories of independence, I guess. That's really, really great. Wonderful. Okay. I have to ask, I see hanging on your wall, you've got some guitars. Are those yours?
No, my husband's. Okay. He also does not play them.
No,
he does know how, and was in a band growing up and stuff like that. Just
fun.
Life gets in the way.
Oh my gosh, yes.
But I did play.
I've got a piano, and I've got my old trombone out, and I haven't touched. I played a couple weeks ago with a friend on the piano, but I haven't played my instrument in a long time.
I played flute in middle school and high school. So I played for 7 years, have not touched it since I graduated high school.
It's hard.
I think it's in my dad's attic.
It's hard to find an excuse. I've realized, because I majored in music in college, but when I left, it's really hard to play in jazz bands and classical bands outside of an academic setting. And so I started doing community theater, and that was a really great way to kind of scratch the itch of performing and wanting to do music. But I realized that it wasn't so much the playing of the instrument that I loved, and more the doing something together that I loved. So
I think that's definitely true. Because I ended up dancing through college and doing my,
perfect.
So I still did the performing arts, but it's this
doing ensemble work.
That kind of idea. And it wasn't the actual, it wasn't the actual playing. Cause I don't feel like I miss it. I just replaced it with other things.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I had to do a lot of I don't know, pumping myself up about that very thing where it was it's okay things to let things kind of phase out because it was such a big part of my identity, I was a musician. It's no, we've got the Stitch People community. We've got other creative work or other ways of self-expression and, you've got family stuff and crafting and other ways to sort of express that and have that outlet. I love it. So are your kids musical at all?
My oldest wants to take piano lessons. So we're getting that figured out. She does have my side, and then my father-in-law is a trombone player on Broadway.
Oh, cool.
So she definitely
on Broadway.
is
that was always my plan.
So she definitely has the genetics to be musical. It's going to, so one of three has to end up doing music. I
love that. That really literally was my plan because I majored in trombone performance, but I didn't end up finishing trombone performance because it just bummed me out to be alone in a practice room all the time. But I always thought I was going to move to New York and be a pit musician. That's so cool.
He plays bass trombone.
That takes lungs. Yeah. Very, very much lung capacity. I have a lot of respect for the low brass tubas and bass trombones. That's awesome. I love it. So did you grow up in Texas? Are you sort of born and raised? Where are you from originally?
I'm originally from Memphis. And then grew up most of my life growing up, spent about an hour outside of Nashville. And then I went to the University of Hawaii for college. Yeah.
Smart choice.
My dad was like, go as far away as you want without leaving the country. And I was like, I'm going to push this boundary. My little brother is 11, does not have the same choices I had. But yeah, so I went to Hawaii, and then I met my husband there, who was in the Marine Corps. And then we moved to New York, where he was from. And then ended up here in Texas, and then now moving. So cross-country moving is our thing, apparently.
That's great. So did he grow up in the city because of his dad?
He was born like in the Bronx, and then like grew up in just like in like Westchester County, like right outside.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Cool. My sister was born in Westchester. That's great. What a great story. I have a couple friends who would do like a semester in Hawaii or like go, I envy the people who thought ahead enough to go to Hawaii for college.
Oh, yeah, it was great.
What a great experience.
Yeah, it was.
Oh man,
it was definitely great. I lived there for like 6 years. Definitely, yeah, loved it for sure.
What would you say is the difference between living in Hawaii and visiting Hawaii? Like, what are some of the things that tourists wouldn't necessarily see or understand that are unexpected or different when you actually live there? I don't know
if there was like too much difference, because I lived right in Waikiki, like because I went to school and then I lived right down there, and I worked in the tourist industry by being a waitress and stuff like that. So I was kind of like super into that. We don't go to the beach as much. We still wear sweatshirts and Uggs, even like because it like when it would get down to like 60, it was cold,
right?
So those were like little quirky things that people were surprised that I like still had Ugg boots and stuff. But yeah, I think as I was so just right there, it was hard to kind of see anything like different than the tourist stuff does. Tend to eat at all the same restaurants. Like I had a lot of friends that worked at Hard Rock Cafe.
Nice.
So we still ate there with all the tourists on a regular basis.
Yes. Hey, why not? If that's where the friends are and the friends employee discounts.
Yes, definitely.
Why not?
Or free desserts.
Right, exactly. Oh, that's fun. Oh, how cool is that? Waikiki, what a dream. And that's where you met your husband, even though he was from New York.
Yeah.
That's like fate waiting to happen. Destiny brought you together in
for
Hawaii.
Sure. That's like part of our like little meet cute why I wanted to do like our milestones. I was a waitress in an Irish pub, and he came in the first time he went out after turning 21 in Afghanistan. He came to the bar I was working at, and it was like a dead night, and he like told his friends he was going to marry me. We had never met, and 5 months later, we were engaged.
I love it.
Yeah.
He came on just the right night. That's amazing.
So weird. He comes up to me and he's like, do you like baseball? And I was like, I hate baseball. He's like, I'm going to take you to a Yankees game. And I'm like, we live like 5,000 miles from New York. I mean, you're not taking me to New York. I just met you. 5 months later, Yankee Stadium, engaged. So yeah.
I love that story. That is so fun.
It was different.
Did you just think he was totally nuts, or were you like, was he cute?
I mean, he was cute enough to get over the nuts thing, because I was definitely like, I haven't even taken your drink order yet. Like, you need to chill
right away.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. What was he just being silly, or did he legit have a feeling?
He legit just knew. He's like always been a very like intuitive person, and just knew. I mean, there was a lot of heavy drinking involved too, but he definitely just seemed to know. And his friends are like, you guys had to know each other. They were like, no, we never met.
Well, like you said, it was like right out the gate before you even took his order. Yeah. That's wild. I love it. Oh, I love it. It's so romantic.
I know. So that's why like my first little milestone is like a picture of the bar we were at, and he has a backwards Yankees cap on. I guess that one I did a Marine Corps one. It was one of us on the beach. I still put like when we were leaving Hawaii, he has the backwards Yankees cap on, and our engagement one, there's a little blimp with the New York Yankees logo on it and stuff. So that's definitely
I love it.
Been a big part.
So are you a baseball fan now?
No.
Have you been converted, or is it like?
I love going to a baseball game. I mean, it's fun to like go in person, and I don't follow it or anything like that.
I feel that. I love stadium energy. Like I love being around other people who care, but I'm always just there for the ambiance. Yeah. Like I don't really care about the players of the game. Like I'll choose a team to root for, or if I'm with people that have a preference, it's like, yay, that team. But Yeah, I have a hard time following sports. You got to be on it every day and so invested. And the players change and the teams change. I just can't keep track.
Yeah, I know. I like hot dogs and I like hanging out with people. And that's like, that's about it.
Yeah, I love that. Oh, how fun is that? 5 months later, engaged. Oh, and then you said you moved. Where did you go after Hawaii?
So then we moved back to Westchester in New York.
Okay,
and lived
back
there
to New York
like
for a while.
3 years.
Cool.
And then it was just kind of like we figured we wanted to start having kids and just wanted space. And I had kind of a little bit of like the Southern influence growing up in Tennessee. And then my husband grew up coming down here every summer to visit his aunt. And so he was just like, I always thought I would probably live there. And so we did it. We moved. We packed up all of our stuff, packed up our cats again because we adopted our cats in Hawaii, and they've moved with us.
Aww.
And then,
you still have them? Are they still going
one
strong?
One of them still, yeah.
Okay, yeah. Oh, that's great. So. It's amazing how much of an impact, extended family and summer travel and stuff can have that. Spencer grew up going to visit his grandpa in California as a kid. They'd go out for a week in the summer. And that's one of the huge reasons we wound up in California for a year and a half, just like your husband, where it's like, oh, I just always really liked it. And you get familiar and there's sort of this nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's cool how that can influence your future life choices.
Yeah,
I like that
definitely.
a lot.
I mean,
it's very cool.
And Reno was not on our radar really. I mean, we always were like, it would be cool because family's there, but it wasn't really anything. Sure. And then his cousin offered him like a job we just couldn't turn down. And we were like, all right, I guess we're
I love that.
moving to Reno.
Moving to Reno. Yeah. Why the heck not? So your husband's out. Is he out of the military now? Is that how that works? Yeah. Okay. So it hasn't necessarily been the military that's been moving you around all this time.
No, when we moved to New York, that was his like exit out of the Marine Corps.
Okay. Got it.
So then, and then we just kind of, all the other moves have just been on us to do.
That's very cool. How fun is that?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. So do you have any future plans of like, we're going to go to Reno for X amount of time, but we really want to end up, in XYZ place? Or are you just you just go where the next step takes you kind of a thing?
I'm really hoping to stay here for a while. I really hope Reno is a long-term stop. It's been fun, but now it's like packing up 5 people and like thinking of like, we have to drive cars with a 90-pound dog. Like, oh God, no hotels. Like they all cap out at 80 pounds for a dog.
Oh my gosh.
Like, oh, he's fluffy, but we're just going to sneak him in.
Just sneak him in the back door. Nobody will notice.
Yeah. Cause it's not like he's huge or anything and sheds everywhere.
Right. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And they feel so arbitrary. All those hotel rules about dogs.
Yeah.
My goodness. Like we have 3 and they often cap it at 2.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, why? I mean, I guess you got to cap it somewhere, but all of ours our youngest dog is 8. So they're like quiet and old and they sleep all the time. So it's like that we were not running a kennel out of the hotel. We just need a place to land for the evening, Oh man, it's hard. And going across the country, that's multiple stops.
Yeah.
I mean, whole, but quite a chunk of it. So yeah, no, that's no joke. That's a lot of work to get all the beings from point A to point
B. So I'm like, we're gonna check in here, and we're gonna stay for a while.
I love it. Yeah. Oh, good. And good you have family. Nice to put down some roots, get comfortable, and not upend kids' lives too. That's gets harder and harder. I hear like the more kids in your family, obviously, but the older they get and the deeper their friendships get, it's like, there's more to think about.
Yeah, so. Definitely don't want to because this one's already a little hard because my 6-year-old's been here her whole life. So she has some friends that we're leaving. So that's definitely going to be a challenge, but yeah. So it's good to just kind of one more big move and then we'll wait till we're empty nesters. Yeah.
Love that. So you mentioned growing up in I guess the South, that's Memphis, right? Yeah. Do you have other crafty people in your family? I feel like we have a lot of stitch people interest in the Midwest and in the South. And I feel like I've heard quilting is pretty big in the South. I don't know. That might just be, I don't know.
It is big, but none of my family quilts. There is a lot of so my great grandmother crocheted and knitted. And I think my grandma was into sewing, but she was more like into the music thing, played saxophone. but she also paints. And then,
I guess, Memphis. Yeah. That would be like music central.
Well, she's from Maine, but yeah, she's still like, got into the saxophone thing. And then my mom is a visual artist, like 100%. Okay. She paints, she does like these beautiful bullet journals, and then she's a photographer.
Oh, wow. That's right. You mentioned the photography.
So definitely definitely grew up exposed to a lot of like arts and crafts and like being a maker and that kind of stuff. So that was always something I was going to do. Was definitely going to make something for just enjoyment and potential income or whatever. It was always going to be making something.
Oh, I love that. And so when you were growing up, your mom was painting a lot? Like, were you around that? And
that time it was scrapbooking was her big thing. She's finally got back into watercolors recently, but in college she was into painting. And then, because of photography stuff, scrapbooking. And that was just, the 90s. Everyone scrapbooked in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then now she's got bullet journals are like her thing, but like the very artsy, like insane art. It's crazy how like detailed and like the beautiful watercolors that she can do. And
that's really cool. Yeah. I've seen a lot of people they go and it's good, easily transferable skills from scrapbooking to bullet journaling.
Yeah.
But with the bullet journaling, it's less taking paper and existing elements and putting them together, but rather like creating your own within the bullet journal. So for people who don't know, bullet journaling's like a system of life organization. The idea is that like your to-do lists and your calendars and your inspirational quotes, any, things that you want to keep track of, even just like personal diary stuff is kind of all in one place. And Spencer and I we started into the bullet journal world thinking it would be a good way to do things. And it is. But what's funny is I got a little bit overwhelmed by a lot of the groups that you join and whatever. People get so into it. Like it sounds like your mom, where it's like people are watercoloring the pages and doing these beautiful headings. And like, the whole point for me was to consolidate my time spent on like life organization and thoughts and not like put more into it. So I have a very rudimentary bullet journal. I just kind of draw lines and, just section things off the way I need to. And I really use it as a bullet journal. But they can really become art, just beautiful ways people sketch in them, people paint in them, people keep track of all sorts of things. And it won't just be like writing down an inspirational quote. It'll be like fully illustrating it into its own page or something, which is just so cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
Not my thing. I definitely keep, I use a notes app on my phone, my to-do list. Like I don't, I'm like, I don't have time. It just became another time task, something that took up time. And I was just like, it's not something I have natural talent at. And I had to eliminate it, as cool as it would be to do.
That's fair. Yeah. But it sounds like it's a really great match for her with all her past interests, painting and scrapbooking.
Yeah. It's like
a very natural thing.
Yeah. Everything came together for her with that. And it's definitely her thing. So yeah, totally grew up in arts and crafts family.
Love that. And do you have siblings, and are they very creative?
I have an 11-year-old brother, he's really into art stuff, but he's definitely hitting the sports age. 11-year-old boy, they're just, fair. Yeah, he's into that. But he was
very fun.
He was into arts and crafts as a kid, as a younger kid and stuff like that. But that's my only sibling, so don't have too many to compare to.
Alrighty. Well, it sounds like your influences growing up definitely rubbed off on you, and it sounds like our also sort of starting to rub off on your kids, which is really, really fun.
Yeah.
How neat. Do you have any, I guess 4 is pretty little, but have either of your kids shown interest in fiber arts with you? Wanting to stitch?
My 4-year-old does whatever the 6-year-old wants to do. Like she wants,
Perfect.
So my 6-year-old
I was a little sister too. Yeah. I totally know that.
But my 6-year-old is definitely, has wanted to start cross stitching. She doesn't quite understand like the X thing. She kind of she wants to already know how to do it. And so, but she wants to try crocheting next. So we're going to start attempting that. We'll see. I feel like I wish she would wait like 2 more years, but because she's very just like, why can't I just do it already? I know how to do it. And I'm like, no, you don't. That's okay.
Maybe. I remember, I'm trying to think back. So we were living in New York, so I would have been no older than 11. So probably between the ages of 7 and 11. I used to do, I called it a Knitting Nancy. I don't know if that's really what they're called, but it was I had a Molly American Girl doll, and in one of her stories. Did you really? Yeah. Oh, I love Molly. Molly for the win. Molly, for those who don't know, Molly was like the World War II one. But she did in one of her books or stories, she used this it's like a little plastic tube with pokes on it, and you like loop the yarn around, and anyway. It was a really great introduction into kind of knitting, crocheting stuff, without actually, and it was just, you just go around and around and loop the thing, and then it creates a scarf or something like that.
I just saved one of those on Amazon for her to try. Because it was like, I was like, I think this might be easier because it's like one-handed instead of like making your two hands move.
And it really is so systematic. Crocheting, it's so easy to like miss a loop or make it too tight or whatever, but when it's got the form around it, it kind of does a lot of the work for you, which is really nice.
Yeah, especially when you're 6. It's definitely what she needs. Exactly. Yeah, she just wants to play with the pretty yarn while I play with yarn. That's what it is. It's
colorful and pretty and fun. Yeah, want to be mom. I love that. So tell us, me, whoever's listening in the future, a little bit more about, like what do you like to think about? What do you like to chew on? Do you have podcasts you listen to, or do you do a lot of reading, audiobooks, shows? Like what kind of, I need to find a better way to ask this question, but like what's like your information intake? Like, are you a big news watcher? Are you a big book reader?
I used to be a huge book reader pre-college, and then I got back into it a little bit, and then kids kind of make it hard. I'm definitely a TV person for sure. I always want to watch TV. Like my favorite part of the day is to go lay in bed and watch sitcoms before the day ends. When I'm stitching, I'm usually watching something. I like really bad reality TV.
I love that.
Like The Bachelor, like those kind of shows. I will listen to podcasts, but not too much. I listen to Stitch People, of course, but I tend to be podcasts in the car, but my kids have recently decided they want to start controlling what's being played in the car. So,
I remember when I was little, my mom would listen to, talk radio and stuff, and I always hated it. It was so boring, as a kid. It was just talking, like, put on Backstreet Boys. That's what I always want to listen to. What, tell me about this. I love people who love reality TV, because I don't really watch a lot of reality TV. I did, for those of you who we've had this discussion before listening, a number of Stitch People, community people have said I needed to watch The Circle. Have you watched The Circle?
Yes, I have.
What are your thoughts on The Circle?
It's really, it's definitely low down there on the quality of television of like the people you want to like look up to are not there. That's for sure.
Right.
No, but it is funny. It is interesting to see how people's brains work a little bit, because it's got this social media aspect of like kind of judging a book by its cover almost. So it's definitely funny. But it's you can fold laundry while you watch it. You can stitch while you watch it, and you can check out a little bit and like take a little brain break, because the people on there, their brains are not functioning as high as everyone else's, which is so
I watched the first season. I know, but it's hard. I mean, and you have to know, like, there's producers and they're influencing people to do certain things and go certain ways. And like, they're just trying to make a compelling show. So half of the choices that people are going like, what are you doing? Are probably
they might be really smart and talented actors. This might be what it might be.
Yeah. So what other kinds of shows do you like to watch? You mentioned sitcoms. Tell us your favorite.
So like I'm, diehard 90s kid. So Friends. I've seen, millions of episodes of Friends. I like Big Bang Theory.
Nice,
like Emily in Paris, which is like that's kind of sitcom-ish. It's got that consistent flow of how the show goes. And then a little more like dramedies, like Gilmore Girls. That kind of stuff. Definitely can always quote a Friends episode in almost every conversation.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, I it sounds like I'm similar to you. I love shows that have many seasons. Like I just love a long form story. That just kind of keeps going and going and going. Friends has 9 or 11 seasons. Seinfeld has 9. I think Big Bang Theory is the longest running sitcom.
I think, yeah, it hit 12.
I want to say 12, which is wild. I think Cheers has 11. Spencer and I just started watching Cheers consecutively, which has been really, really fun. So it's just fun to have a laugh. Yeah. I appreciate the lightheartedness of a sitcom myself.
Yeah, well, it's something you can fall asleep to and not like you're not missing it. I'm definitely a rewatcher. Which I guess people with anxiety love to rewatch things because they like to know the outcome.
Sure.
I definitely have like the same 10 shows I watch every year and just rotate through them.
See nothing wrong with that. For me, I feel like I'm not a huge rewatcher, but if I rewatch, it's because I've kind of finished everything new that I was watching, and it's less of a wanting to know what happens and more just I know I'm going to like it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Where it's like when you start a new show, there's always a risk of like, oh, what if the first few episodes are good, but then it gets bad? Or what if it, only goes for 2 seasons or something new? It just has a lot of risk.
Yeah, it does.
You watch something, you already know you like it.
Well, and it's like you gotta like meet all these new characters and see if you like them. And I always liked reading books that were a series. I've always liked television better than movies. I like to really get like invested in the character and like be attached to them. I'm one of those that cries at the end of when a series ends. Like I always cry, like even if it wasn't that good. I'm like, I still just like, but you're leaving me. Like my characters,
my friends. Yeah, totally. I'm definitely one of those people that like, when two characters get married in a show or something, I'm always like in it to win it with them. It's always like, oh yay, happy for their happiness, It's fun, which indicates, like you said, even if it wasn't that good, it at least has been a compelling story or consistent or good actors. Like if a viewer cares, they did something right. That's a good indication of that.
Yeah, if you've stuck it out
that's
that
really
long.
Fun. Yeah, I love it. Okay, sitcoms. And I'm with you too. With dramas are harder to have on in the background because plot is so much more important in a drama.
Yeah,
I feel like sitcoms, it's so situational and day to day, and it's like the lightheartedness of it. Yeah, you can kind of come and go, even miss a whole episode and you'll be able to piece together what's going on. But like a drama, it's all about, the plot line or like stopping the bad guy or whatever. And you've got to like really pay attention.
Yeah. And I still,
you'll miss it.
I still like those. Like I loved the OC and I'm really nerdy. So like the Lord of the Rings series that came out and like, like House of the Dragon and like Game of Thrones, all those, but those are like, I watch this with my husband and with kids. It's like, we can't watch them until like you're passing out at night. And so it's like you get one episode a week and you have to keep starting it over where you've missed things. And so it's kind of like, all right, I'm like, okay, I'm like 5 years before I'm watching those again.
Yeah. Spencer and I started House of the Dragon. We watched the first episode when it came out, but then for kind of exactly what you just said, like the waiting every week, we decided to just not until it was done, and then we could just watch them all once they're out. And luckily we haven't really heard any spoilers, but yeah, it's like I sort of love-hate that streaming services are going back to the weekly release because it's fun to drip it out and you kind of have to wait and you get excited for it. But then at the same time, sometimes you just want to know what happens next.
Yeah,
it's like
definitely. Yeah, and now
it's
like
hard to wait.
The big shows like Lord of the Rings, it's going to be like 2 years before another season. So it's like you get like 6 weeks.
I didn't know that.
You get like your 6 or 8 weeks or whatever, and then you just like are hanging on forever and ever.
Right. Like Avatar, just the second one just came out.
Like
what is it?
20 years or something?
Yeah,
something crazy.
It's like wild. It's many, many, many years. I think it's like 8 or 10 or something. Yeah, and they say they have the other ones filmed already, but who knows how long it's going to be. So those are done. I don't know. I don't really care about Avatar, so I haven't been paying.
Yeah, I have not. I mean, I'll watch it at some point, but that's not one I rush to see. But yeah, like
same
because it's a movie,
like, I remember
a new TV show.
Exactly. There you go. I'm the same way, which is hard because Spencer's a movie guy. So we butt heads sometimes about it. But we did recently, we watched, Spencer put on Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone because it's kind of got, there's like Christmas moments. So he put it on, I'm going to say it was couple days before Christmas. And I was like, oh yeah, I guess there is some Christmas stuff in this movie. And then we just kept watching them. And it was like, man, this is the way to do it, is to find the movies that exist in series. And then we're both happy.
Yeah, no, Harry Potter is one that we watch every year.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, that's like my diaper bag's a Harry Potter bag. I have
fun!
Like I have we're super nerds. Like we have a whole like pop collection, and Harry Potter is one of our little one of our fandoms that we did. Like
I love it.
Definitely super nerdy. So that one is one of our big ones.
I think it was Amanda from last season of the Stitch People podcast, super into Harry Potter. That was a really fun conversation. And I think it might just be like our generation grew up on it. So it's easy to sort of love it because it's also nostalgic. And I remember the first book, my 5th grade teacher gave as like a little prize for something. Like there was I won a spelling bee or, something like that. And it was like, oh, you get to pick a book. And it was like, oh, that looks good. And it had just come out. And so sort of by happenstance, like I read the first one in 5th grade, and then I read the last one came out, I think like my senior year of high school. And I don't know, we were invested, And so there's something about it that just resonates. So I love that. You said your pop collection, is that those pop figurines?
Yeah, the little
like
Funko Pops, the little like almost bobbleheads.
So
yeah, we have Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, and Disney princesses.
Fun. So is that something your kids get in on too?
Yeah. It kind of has become a whole family thing. Like right now it's all packed up, but our living room, like our TV wall was just like shelves all around it full of the little pops. So yeah, it's definitely a whole thing for us. I call it like nerd chic, our decor, because I have like the Star Wars ruggable rug, and like for like our whole living room is definitely
some cool stuff.
Yeah,
Disney collection is so great because it's kind of subtle.
Yeah,
it's not like you have like a giant Death Star rug, but like it's still Star Wars or it's still Disney, but it's not like in your face, which is really really fun.
Like our runner is like a French toile. So unless you look at it, it looks very like classic and like antique-ish, and then you're like, no, it's definitely Star Wars scenes.
I love it because there's humor in that too. I like a house that makes you smile. It's got to.
Yeah.
What's the point of living if you're bored in your own house?
Yeah.
I love that.
But I also love home decor.
Yeah, there you go. I was gonna say it sounds like you're into what you put in your house and all around. And what did you call it? Nerd chic?
Yeah.
So fun. I love that. Maybe nerd is nerd is a word that people like claim now that it's
it's cool now.
It's fun. It's cool to be a nerd. But I have a friend, Spencer and I started like getting into D&D for the first time. We have a friend who's super, super into it and was like, I think you guys would really like it. And we've always sort of had a sense that we would. We just sort of never had anybody to like help us get into it before until this friend of ours, he's like, okay, I'm going to do a campaign. We're going to do characters. It's going to be a whole thing. And we've like really enjoyed it. We did another like campaign day with him on New Year's Eve. It was Christmas Eve. And he's always like apologizing for how nerdy he is. And, I wish people would embrace their nerd a little bit more. I don't see like, what's wrong with liking Star Wars? Like, name one thing that's wrong with liking what you like. I don't understand.
Oh, I know. Especially
feel the need to apologize for it.
Yes.
Star
Wars is so popular. I mean, it's multi-generational now. It's like
totally
and
it's so much more mainstream than it used to be. Any of it, all of it. Like I just feel like Disney has its own amusement park. A huge chunk of Disney now has the Star Wars amusement park. Universal has Harry Potter. Like these things aren't nerdy. They're fully mainstream.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just take qualms with the assertion that anyone needs to apologize for anything they like.
Yeah. Agreed. Definitely.
So were you a Star Wars, Harry Potter, was all of this Lord of the Rings, did you like this stuff independently of your husband and he liked it too? Or are there ones like that Lord of the Rings was your thing and Star Wars was his thing and you kind of like share now? Like how has that been in your relationship?
For both of us, it was Lord of the Rings, which is like our go-to.
Fun.
Like this one, her name is Arwen after the Liv Tyler character. Yeah. So she's named from Lord of the Rings. So that was kind of our go-to. He was a Star Wars fan, and I was like into Harry Potter, and so that we kind of met in the middle with those. But we both love both of them. But I don't think I really like. My family's not that nerdy, so I didn't really like dive into it until like as an adult, and then I just like went head first into being like a total nerd. And my husband definitely being nerdy. It just evolved from kind of there.
I love that. I love it. Yeah, when you said her name was Arwen, I was like, ooh, that sounds like Lord of the Rings to me.
Yes.
I love that. I love that. Well, cool. Okay, so now that we're nearing the end of our conversation, which I can never believe how fast they fly by, I'm going to try to better execute this season on rapid fire favorite things questions and not get sidelined with follow-up questions as I had last season. So, if you'll indulge me, do you have a favorite color?
Probably a forest green, hunter green.
Love it. Beautiful. Favorite candy?
Twix bar.
Ooh, classic. Have you ever tried them frozen?
No, but I will now.
10 out of 10 recommend. Do you have a favorite vacation destination?
Oh, I prefer tropical, but our family goes to Stowe every Thanksgiving in Vermont, and it's become my favorite.
Oh, I love that. I love a good two-sided coin in the vacations. The Vermont, that's mountains and forests, right?
Yes.
And versus the beach life. Love that. Do you have a dream vacation destination that you have not yet visited?
Oh, Australia.
Ooh, cool. Where in Australia? Anywhere in particular?
We'll definitely have to go to the zoo because my daughter, she's got to go see the koalas and she wants to be bendy. Yeah. And then, just anywhere. I'll just anywhere in there and like
love that.
Kind of do New Zealand at the same time so you can go see all the Hobbit stuff.
Oh, yeah. Smart. Oh, that's brilliant. Very cool. Oh, I just have an itch. Sorry. Okay, and do you have, if you had to choose, do you have a favorite movie or series?
Oh,
if you had to pick just one.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, classic. Love that. And do you have a favorite? Okay, we talked about baseball, but do you have a favorite sport?
No.
No. Do you have a favorite physical activity that you like to do?
I'm a ballerina, so ballet for sure.
Ballet. I love that. Okay, and last but not least, do you have a favorite meal you like to cook?
Oh, right now we kind of do like a taco nacho bar. It seems to be like our family go-to because my daughter loves refried beans. So we've just kind of...
Your daughter has excellent taste.
So, and then living in Texas. So we definitely the Tex-Mex is a very popular one.
I know I said last but not least. My last but not least should be, do you have a favorite portrait that you've ever stitched?
Yes. It would be the one I did for my husband's aunt this year. And it is on our vacation trip to Stowe. It's a picture of her and our two oldest because I stitched it before the little one came along.
Oh, I love it.
And it has a lynx in it and some deer because we went on a hike and there was paw prints and my oldest was like, they're lynx prints. They're lynx. They have to be. And we Googled it and sure enough, they're Canadian lynxes down in Vermont. And it was a lynx print. Luckily, we did not see the actual lynx. But so I put lynx I was so happy there was a pattern for a lynx to put it in the portrait. But it was I did an oval and it's on like the glittery Ida. So it's all sparkly snow. And they have their little ski suits on and they're snowshoeing in it.
That sounds adorable. Do you have a picture of it?
I do.
Okay, I'll follow up with you so we can get a picture to put with we'll do like a little blog post about the episode. So everybody can go to the blog post and see all your, hopefully, we'll want to see your stitched memories, your life in Stitch.
Yeah.
As well as, or your Stitch stories. That's what you call it, Stitch stories, which I love. And then, we want to see some of your favorite portraits. So that'll be fun. Oh, I love that. Well, Parrish, it's been so fun to chat with you today. Yeah. Thank you so much for your time. Do you have any other thoughts, comments, questions, concerns?
No, I don't think so. No, it was definitely like fun. I listened last season. I just felt like I related to so many people, and it was like, these are my people. They're all kind of stuck at home stitching. There were so many like moms and stuff. I was like,
Tell me this as kind of parting words of wisdom for any beginners or anyone new to Stitch People. Do you have any thoughts or advice, or even like, I do think you tapped into something there. We definitely get a lot of like new moms because it'll be or people in even just new phases of their life, which is often motherhood for a lot of people in our community. But people where their lives have calmed down, they're staying home more than they used to, and it's like, oh, I need something for me. And so they'll turn to a hobby that they have liked or enjoyed, and a lot of people have found cross-stitch in that. So do you have any advice for people kind of picking things up for the first time in a long time, or people in a new phase of life, like you said, like our people?
I mean, I feel like for me, it was just like to kind of not think too much about it. Like I like planned out my first pattern and I put the TV on so I could just kind of like not like obsess about it and just, and I actually taking on a big project, like having all the milestones, you can tell from my first one to like the 8th one, like the quality of stitch work. Just doing them back to back like that. So just like almost taking on a bigger, like I guess I did it as mini projects because it's 8 hoops.
Right.
So like taking on a big project where you can actually see your progression is kind of fun. It's like just you deep dive into it and do like a bigger one and just like see it come together.
Yeah, just go for it. Kind of like you were saying at the beginning, jump right in. I love that. I love it. And not taking it too seriously, especially at first. Yeah. That's really, really great. I love that. Well, thank you so, so much for your time and your thoughts and advice, and for sharing Sweet Arwen with us today. It's so fun to get to know you. And we'll see you around the Stitch People community. Yes. Oh, tell us, where would you like people to connect with you? Is Facebook the best? Instagram? If anybody wants to reach out and be friends?
I have Facebook is like, I'm in the Stitch People group as Parrish Hayward.
Perfect.
And then also Instagram is Little Turkey Crafts.
Awesome. Great. And we will link to that in our episode notes. So if anybody wants to follow you there, that'll be great. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
My friends, what did I tell you? Isn't Parrish a delight? I loved chatting with her, and I hope you enjoyed getting to know her through this podcast. It was so fun to get to know about her and her family, and I love what she said at the end. You know, the Stitch People podcast, the Stitch People community, these are my people, she said, and that's how I feel. We have so much more in common than we have different with each other, especially in the Stitch People community, but in our greater communities at large. And I think it's really important to focus on that, and so fun to find our common ground. So thank you for listening to the Stitch People podcast and enjoying conversations with Stitch People like you. I would so appreciate it if you could take a moment to subscribe to our podcast, leave us a rating, leave us a review. It really helps us shine more cross-stitchy sunshine into the world. You can check out everything we have to offer at stitchpeople.com. Don't forget to use that coupon code SAVE15 at checkout by the end of January for 15% off any subscription. And connect with us on Instagram and Pinterest. Be sure to tag us in your posts so we can see what you're up to, give you a big old digital high five. I also want to thank all of you for your support of each other and your creative, cooperative encouragement. The Stitch People community really is the best place on the internet. Our fully licensed jazzy tunes were created by Jonathan Boyle, and our sound designer is Brandon Yost. Have a wonderful day, my friends, and happy stitching. The Stitch People podcast is a production of Beanski LLC and Stitch People. Copyright 2022, all rights reserved.